Welcome to Windsong. Yay! We are starting. It is January 2024. Crazy. Now, just to let you know, right now it's not January 2024. I pre-record all these, but it is January 2024. Isn't that crazy? Okay, so welcome to Windsong. Thank you for joining us this year. I just wanted to do the introduction video and show you kind of what's going on and what's going to happen for the year. Okay, so you will be receiving your first Windsong packet, and your first Windsong packet is very, very, very important. 3 varies, okay? Because in your Windsong packet, you will be receiving a full color brochure of the entire quilt, and inside are colored pictures of each of the blocks that we'll be doing, as well as some of the components that we put together. You're going to want to keep this on hand. Now, the way we have this here, we actually have the color conversion chart. Now, what some people have done in the past, which is brilliant, is they will cut a little piece of fabric as they get them and stick them on each of these little pieces to match the fabric to the grayscale picture of the fabric. And when they get their pattern, okay, you're going to see there's a little grayscale code. They will actually take those little pieces and then stick them onto the pattern itself, so it helps them keep their fabric straight. And then later on, they'll put the fabric pieces back onto their master. We try to be very careful when we pack our block of the month to pack the fabrics in order. So when you open your packet, your lightest fabric will be on top, your darkest fabric will be on the bottom, and that is the order of your fabric, in this case 1 through 13. Okay, yes, everybody was playing for years which fabric is which, and we found out, oh, that makes life really easy if we pack the fabrics in order. Sometimes we mess up, but we try very diligently to make this as easy as we can for you. Okay, so this is very important. With your color key, you want to hold on to this. The next most important thing in your packet is going to be your general instructions page. Now, this general instructions page shows you the abbreviations that we use in the pattern, as well as basic diagrams on how to do different techniques that you're going to see over and over and over in the pattern. They're going to be flying geese, how to square up the half square triangles, square in a square unit, strip set, sewing and cutting, and flip and sew corners. Now, as we go through the tutorials every month, I know it gets a little tedious even for me, but I go through all the steps every single time as a refresher, okay? But if you ever get lost or have trouble, you want to keep this on hand to refer back to for the abbreviations, as well as a paper guide on how to do the different elements of the quilt. And yes, I am actually going to try the regular flying geese because Tony and Jenny have convinced me. So I usually do 4 flying geese, 4 at a time, but they've convinced me to try their regular sew technique and iron technique. So we're going to be doing flying geese by cutting the triangles and sewing them together and pressing properly. I've been resisting, but we're going to give in. Okay, next thing, I want to show you the 2 rulers that will be used throughout the videos. These are awesome rulers. I use these all the time. These are my go-to rulers. They're available if you haven't gotten them on our website. Okay, you'll find them on the block of the month page. This is the Creative Grid 6.5 by 12.5 ruler, and the reason I love this ruler for this quilt is there is a magic line in the middle of the ruler that is the 3 1/4 mark. The 3 1/4 by 3 1/4 square is what the pattern calls for to do half square triangles. Okay, it's a 2 at a time half square triangle technique. The squares are cut 3 1/4 by 3 1/4. You mark the diagonal, sew on either side, cut apart, and then trim. This is that 3 1/4 line. You train your eye to go to that anytime you're cutting half square triangles. Now, 2 other measurements that you're going to be using on a regular basis is 3 1/8 to do flying geese and 3 3/8 to do square and a square. So if you start using this 3 1/4 as a regular guide for your eyes to go to, you learn very quickly that 3 1/8 is to one side of that mark and 3 3/8 is to the other side of that mark, depending if you're right-handed or left-handed. And it really helps in keeping your cuts more precise with fewer errors. Okay, so I recommend this ruler. This is a great ruler. I love creative grids. Next, this is the square on square 8-inch trim tool. I have had so many people tell me what an amazing ruler this is, and I very rarely use it for the function it is made for. Don't get me wrong, there are a whole bunch of square and a square blocks in this quilt, and so we will be using the square and a square section to square up our blocks. However, I also use this on a regular basis to trim my half square triangles, to trim my flying geese, to note whether things are the correct size in 2 1/2 inch square, 4 1/2 inch square, and 8 1/2 inch squares. Okay, so you'll be seeing me use this all the time. The reason I love this to trim up 4 1/2 inch and 2 1/2 inch pieces is there are no lines to distract you. Okay, this quilt, like most of Wing and a Prayer quilt designs, are based on a 4 1/2 inch unit, and I have learned that I call this a pico. You'll hear me use this term all the time. Pico, which means belly button in Hawaiian, is the center of this 4 1/2 by 4 1/2 inch mark on this ruler, and it teaches you how to square from the center with no distracting lines and perfect cuts. Okay, so you're going to want to look at investing in the 6 1/2 by 12 1/2 and the square on square 8-inch trim tool. You'll be seeing me use these all the time in the videos, and you know, by all means, not required, but extremely helpful. Okay, these are the fabrics. There are 13 fabrics in the line for this block of the month. They are cool greens, there are warm oranges, and that's kind of the theme of Windsong this year. Going from cools and warms and actually mixing them together in a quilt. So thank you so much for joining us. We are going to have a great year of quilting, and we look forward to seeing you. Video 1 is up. See you guys soon. Bye.